Hello. And are we live on YouTube? Great. Thank you. Well, thanks everybody who has attended in person. This is our first formal financial report from our Budget and Operations Committee for 2026. I know Pastor Will reported the good news to the congregation regarding our year-end 2025. I'm Gene Rich. I am the member of the Leadership Council this year and the treasurer of Silver Spring United Methodist Church. I followed the several years of hard work by Lee Bullis, and she's not here in person today, but I just want to note that all the good news that I provide you is really due to Lee's work and the work of our relatively new financial manager, Julie Hansen, and I just get a chance to report it and try to understand the numbers and explain them to you all. We have provided in the bulletins a few times over the last months a one-page graphic report of our finances. We've gotten various feedback on those from members of the congregation and the Leadership Council, and as a result, Julie Hansen and the Budget and Operations Committee have tried to revise it. We had a new version that we developed by the end of this work week, but as luck would have it, the printer was down by the time the staff started to try to print it. So I do not have a handout for you. We will have a version available for next month, and if there are any individuals who expressed interest, feel free to contact us and we can email you a copy of the report for March. The agenda for the meeting today is in three parts. First, a very brief summary of how we ended the year 2025, which again, folks have heard before, but just to remind you, an update on our financial status as of the end of March 2026, and then answering questions that folks may have. So how we ended the year in 2025, we did very well. We had budgeted a deficit, a year-end deficit at 2025 of $25,000. We not only made up that deficit, but we actually ended up with over $77,000 in surplus, of which the leadership chose to use $17,000 of it to pay our full apportionments for 2025, the first time in a number of years that this congregation has been able to pay its full apportionments, which of course is very helpful to the United Methodist Conference and also beneficial to the congregation going forward because it creates new kinds of funding opportunities for programming that you can qualify for more readily if you are paying your apportionments than if you are not. We were also able to add $60,000 to our operating cash, so it's sort of improved our financial situation entering 2026. Now, were you to see this graphic, you would see that our current cash on hand is $454,000, which given our operating budget is really good. You know, we're good. And we have a combined investments of a total of $1.49 million. Most of that is on our capital reserve fund, and some of it is in our endowment where we cannot spend the principal, but we can, with Leadership Council approval, spend the earnings. And in fact, this year, the Leadership Council approved spending some of those earnings to help pay for the youth minister that we are all benefiting from in 2026. The next number we provide for the end of March 2026 is a net income year to date, which I would say for churches in general and our church in particular is always negative for the first few months because the big giving time is the last half of the year. But this number is a little more concerning. It's a negative $51,733 in contrast to a budgeted deficit at this time of the year of $13,565. Now, the Budget and Operations Committee has been watching this over the last several months, and not just me as the treasurer, but the rest of the committee is not concerned about these numbers, and I will explain why. The contributions revenue is down by at least $10,000 relative to what we expected. And that is due to a very low contributions in January, where, if you'll remember, we had some Sundays when it was very hard to, to be in church. That has picked up nicely in February and March, but not enough to make up yet for January. However, Pastor Will tells me that we just got another sizable contribution catch-up, so that I'm expecting that negative contribution status will have reversed itself when we provide you the written report next month. Our facility revenue is also down. We've analyzed this. It has multiple facets. One of them is just a timing issue. One of our facility renters hadn't paid yet. The other has to do with a good thing in the long run, which is the kitchen has been out of commission for a few months while it's being substantially renovated through a $250,000 grant in part. So, it's going to be great, but it's not being used, so, the renters can't use it and therefore we're not paying rent. The expenses were above budget. The biggest number you will not be surprised to hear is snow removal, where we expended not only our entire budget for the year in 1 month, but we exceeded that budget by $5,000. So we've had a big snow removal payout in the first 3 months of $25,000, and our gas and heat has been a little above, and our building maintenance costs, as has been regularly the case, and we'll come back to in a minute, have ended up being higher than budgeted because we've had some mechanical issues that had to be dealt with. We've also got some timing issues. We've had a big insurance payment that came due right at one time, although that's sort of spread out over the year. So again, as I said, all of the negative position at the end of April is greater than we'd budgeted, but there's lots of good explanations, things that are all in the process of fixing themselves, so we're not concerned. By the way, by comparison, in 2025, at the same time, we were in a deficit by $26,000. It's a little worse now, but again, we've got a lot of explanations for why this is the case now that are different from 2025. The report also provides various graphics that show our contributions revenue relative to budget, facility use revenue relative to budget. I've already verbally described that. It shows a breakdown of all the different kinds of our investment cash accounts. And there is a we hope, handy description of each of these terms on this form. We've realized we tend to provide graphics with words, but not everybody in the congregation understands those words the same. And we got some good feedback from members of our Budget and Operations Committee regarding that, and some words we need to clarify. So when you do see this, you'll find that there's the front page has the graphics, the back page has descriptions of each of these terms that we hope you will find useful. One of the things that the document will also make obvious is the fact that Pastor Will has cautioned the congregation about a number of times over the years, and that is we have an unusually large facility cost as a part of our total operating spending. 44% of our operating expenses year to date are facilities. So facilities include gas and heat, but also custodial services, electricity, maintaining all of our various equipment, the heating, air conditioning, lighting, sound systems, kitchen, many of which, as you're aware, many of which are as old as this building, which is 1966, I believe. In fact, some have heard me say before that when I toured the facilities and saw the boilers that keep us warm in the winter, the last time I had seen anything like that was at the Chicago Institute of Industry and Science. This is old equipment at any event. The good news is, as you've already heard, we are already renovating our kitchen, and the Building Beloved Community Committee is closing in, working with a contractor on a plan for complete updating of our heating and air conditioning and electrical systems as part of the transition to closing the education building for the building project, so that by 2028, our facility expenses should be much more in line with our current mission, rather than taking care of buildings that we no longer use, and are going to be 2027, 2028 era technology rather than 1966 or earlier technology. And we're expecting that's going to, create clearly a lot less in the way of maintenance costs, and also greatly improved efficiency in several elements. So that is a verbal description of what's in the graphic, mentioning some of the details we're going to be providing. And so I think I have finished my agenda and moving into the questions and answers. So I'm happy, and Becky Eager from the Leadership Council is here with a microphone. If there are any folks in the audience that would like to verbalize a question, and if we have any questions online. No questions online. So I'll wait to see. Looks like I'm happy to not have to answer questions. All right. And I should mention, this is something I meant to mention in the beginning, you have never heard a report from me before. We've been waiting for other committees in the Leadership Council to advise us regarding what kind of in-person reporting we should be doing. Not surprisingly, the Leadership Council concluded that what Lee Bullis was doing in the past was what we should be doing, which is quarterly. So now I will be reporting quarterly. And I expect the next one will actually, of course, well, at any event, it'll be quarterly. I've now reported on our first quarter, so I guess we'll just plan on reporting on the second quarter. Well, if there are no more questions, I want to thank everybody for their participation and attention, and thank our audiovisual experts for making this available online. Have a great